To another Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. If you jump on here live here on this Monday evening, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Make sure to give the video a like, a thumbs up. If you have not yet subscribed, please do so and share the video on all social media platforms. Hopefully, everybody had a fantastic Monday, and hopefully, everybody has their Christmas shopping done because Christmas Day itself is 10 days away, but it's probably more than likely for most people less than that until you start your Christmas family functions, unless you only have one, which is your immediate family. Good evening, Keveron. Glad to have you here. As always, appreciate you stopping by as always because most people have more than just one. Now, I do know some people that say they have one day where they travel and they try to see as many people as possible in that one day, but that's it because it's so stressful, spending the whole month of December going to see, your husband's immediate family or your wife's immediate family, and then your spouse's immediate family, and then, your aunts, your uncles, your in laws, and all that. And it's just too much. So for most people, Christmas Day itself is 10 days away, but the Christmas things you have going on are less than that. Hey there, Ima. Glad to have you here. As always, and Ima, one of these days, I'm going to have to somehow or another find out what your actual name is because I have a feeling it's not I'ma keep it real, although I do like that YouTube name. But thank you so much for stopping by. As always, tonight we're going to talk some football. Is that Krista or is that Christia? If it's Krista, then the second I is silent. If it's Christia, you have a very unique name. I've never heard that name before. I always wondered what your actual name was. I said, Ima's a cool name, but I have a real good feeling her name is not actually Ima. And now I know it's either Krista or Christia. Well, I'll probably more than likely keep calling you Ima because that's easier to remember. Because Ima Keep It Real is very unique. But whether it's Krista or Christia, thank you for telling me. But let's start out in the NFL world because there's less than a month to go in the regular season. And there's a couple of divisions that the division winner might go 9-8 and still win the division. But we have one more game this week. That's tonight's game between the Dolphins and the Steelers. Now, I don't think the Dolphins make the playoffs, but I got to be honest, after the first month of the season, they look like one of the worst teams in the NFL. So the fact that here we are now in mid-December and they've actually still got a chance to make the playoffs is pretty impressive. But the first month of the season, they looked dreadful. But they fired the general manager finally. He should have been fired 10 years ago. But ever since they finally got rid of him, they've been a whole different football team. But the Dolphins and Steelers play tonight. The Steelers division is one of the divisions where the division winner might go 9-8. Hey there, Daniel. Glad to have you here, as always. Low key, glad to have you here. The Steelers are 7-6, and the Ravens are 7-7. Now, one of those two teams win that division because we know it's not going to be the Bengals or the Browns. The Ravens, after their 24-0 win yesterday over the Bengals, are 7-7. If the Steelers win tonight, they're one game up at 8-6. But if the Dolphins pull off the win tonight, the Ravens and Steelers are tied at 7-7, leading the division with 3 games left in the regular season. Hey there, Mark. Glad to have you here, and Daniel and Mark. If it's y'all's first time here on the channel, thank y'all so much for stopping by. For whatever reason made you stop by the channel, appreciate that. Feel free to give the video a like, a thumbs up, and if you have not subscribed, please do so and share the video on all social media platforms. And no, Daniel, I am not a Steelers fan. I actually just watch football for the enjoyment of football, but I do not have a favorite NFL team, so I am not a Steelers fan. This past Thursday, the Falcons beat the Bucks 29-28. The Bucks fell to 7-7, so the Panthers had a chance to take the lead and win the division yesterday. Not win the division, but take the division lead with 3 games to go. They played the Saints, and the Panthers fall to the Saints by the score of 20-17. So that division with 3 games to go is the 7-7 Bucks and the 7-7 Panthers. And we know that division is not going to be the Falcons or the Saints. So more than likely, both of those divisions, the division winner is going to be 9-8. But also over the weekend, the Eagles beat the Raiders 31-0. The Texans beat the Cardinals 40-20. The Chargers beat the Chiefs 16-13. Now the Chiefs are eliminated from the playoffs, and everybody thought, the last few years the Chiefs had a dynasty going, and they had a short run, and they were good and they were dominant. But I think their time is up, and it's nothing they've done wrong. But they went out and gave Patrick Mahomes that contract, making $50+ million a year, which was fine when it happened. But after a while, you've got other players that become free agents, and you can't afford to sign them. And your young players have their rookie deals, and their rookie deals expire, and you got to give them more money. You can't afford to sign them because you're giving all your money to Mahomes. So the team's pretty much slowly dwarfing into Mahomes, and that's it. So I think their time of dominance has come to an end. The Bills beat the Patriots 35-31. The Jaguars beat the Jets 48-20. Trevor Lawrence had his best game as an NFL quarterback so far. The Commanders beat the Giants 29-21. The Bears over the Browns 31-3. Rams over the Lions 41-34. Seahawks over the Colts 18-16. Now Phillip Rivers came out of retirement, started that game for the Colts, and he wasn't impressive, but he wasn't terrible. For a guy that's almost 45 years old that hasn't played in basically 5 years, to come out of retirement and play like he played, quite honestly, was a surprise. I thought he was going to be absolutely horrible, but he wasn't. But the Colts actually have 6 players that are younger than Phillip Rivers' oldest child, because Phillip and his wife have 9 kids, I believe, but they actually got together, I think, in high school. And if memory serves, Phillip had his first child as a sophomore in college, I believe. I think they have 9 kids and even have a grandchild. But he played pretty good yesterday. He didn't lead the Colts to the win, but he's not the reason why they lost. The Broncos beat the Packers 34-26. The 49ers over the Titans 37-24. And the Vikings beat the Cowboys 34-26. Now let's talk about some college football bowl games this week. I always try to do this every week during bowl season because there's just so many bowls every week to try to keep up with. So I try to do one video per week where I just talk about all the bowl games coming up that week. Kind of like in the regular season, doing a video where I talk about all the games coming up that weekend that might be, worth talking about, worth watching to some extent. Whereas in bowl games, I try to mention all of them. I just do it on a week by week basis. No bowl games today. Now, of course, we had a couple over the weekend. We also had Army Navy over the weekend, but this week the bowl games start tomorrow night. We have the Salute to Veterans Bowl, which is Troy versus Jacksonville State. That game's going to be in Montgomery, Alabama, at the Crampton Bowl, and it's 9 o'clock on ESPN. Did the right thing. The game's in Montgomery, Alabama, and they found two teams that play in Alabama. That way, nobody has to travel that far. And then coming up on Wednesday, we have the Cure Bowl, which is Old Dominion versus South Florida. 5 o'clock on ESPN. Camping World Stadium in Orlando, Florida. And then we also have the 68 Ventures Bowl, which is Louisiana versus the Blue Hens of Delaware. 8:30 Wednesday night from Hancock Whitney Stadium in Mobile, Alabama. And then coming up on Thursday, we have the Xbox Bowl, which is Arkansas State versus Missouri State. 9 o'clock on ESPN2 from the Ford Center in Frisco, Texas. Now, I wonder, a lot of times, in the regular season when a team wins, you'll see the team pour Gatorade on the coach's head. And then sometimes, even in bowl games, like if you win the Mayonnaise Bowl, the coach gets Duke poured on him, which I would never in my life be able to do that. I would fall over dead if somebody poured a whole tub of Duke's mayonnaise on me. I could not stand that. My OCD would drive me up the wall. But I wonder, if you win the Xbox Bowl, do they dump an Xbox on your head? Because if so, it might be your last day here on Earth, because a tub of Xboxes would not be very light, to say the least. Coming up on Friday, we have the Myrtle Beach Bowl. Kennesaw State versus Western Michigan. 11 a.m. on ESPN from Conway, South Carolina. The Gasparilla Bowl. Memphis versus NC State. 2:30 on ESPN from Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. Then we have the first round playoff game. Number 9 versus number 8. Oklahoma versus Alabama. 8 o'clock from Memorial Stadium in Norman, Oklahoma. Now, so far, Brent Venables is undefeated against Kalen DeBoer. Now, these two teams played earlier in the season, and Oklahoma won by 2. But in the past month, both teams' offense have just vanished. I don't know what happened, but neither team can score now. So this game might be 10-7. I don't know. But ever since John Mateer was injured and came back, he does not look the same. And Ty Simpson started out really good. He's regressed in the last month. So this game might be first team to 10 wins the game. Coming up on Saturday, we have 3 first round games. The only one Friday is Oklahoma and Alabama. On Saturday, we have Texas A&M versus Miami at noon from Kyle Field in College Station, Texas. Ole Miss versus Tulane at 3:30, and this one is on TNT from Vaught Hemingway Stadium in Oxford, Mississippi. And then we have Oregon versus James Madison at 7:30 on TNT. That's from Autzen Stadium in Eugene. Now, I thought about this last year, and I haven't heard anybody, really bring it up. But I find it interesting that, for years and years and years, ESPN has carried every bowl game except for the Sun Bowl. And the Sun Bowl has came on CBS as far back as I can recall. But starting last year, 2 of the 4 opening round playoff games moved over to TNT. And ESPN is trying to be smart. And of course, so many people are brainwashed, they probably don't realize this. But they've done that because this is the Saturday where the NFL starts playing on Saturdays. And no matter what college football does, they're never going to get as many views as NFL. It's just not going to happen. So since these playoff games get blown out of the water in TV ratings against the NFL, ESPN has let them leave ESPN and go to TNT so that when nobody watches them because the NFL's on, it makes TNT look bad and not ESPN. That way ESPN can say, well, we didn't get beat in the ratings because when the noon game is on, there's no NFL on. But when the 3:30 game comes on and the 7:30 game comes on, there's NFL on. So ESPN is trying to be smart, but if you're realistic and you pay attention, you know why they're doing it. But so many people are actually brainwashed by ESPN that I bet some folks are saying, well, if the game was on ESPN, it had more views. When honestly, that's not true at all. College football has never beaten the NFL. It's just not going to happen. You can like college better all you want to, and I'm not saying that you can or you shouldn't, but you still have to face reality. College football is never going to be as popular as the NFL, and they have tried and tried and tried in every way they can to pretty much make college football like the NFL, and they can do that, but it's still not going to be as popular as the NFL. Any thoughts on any of this? Please feel free to let me know. There's no bowl games on Sunday, so that is all the bowl games for this week. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. How does a North Pole carpenter fix something broken? He glues it together. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your